then does that mean that there is non-veg pulao?
They want it, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how to answer that question, but guys, we're not selling any biryani yet. No, I guess they can be. I mean, I guess if people are putting chocolate in momos, I guess anything works these days. Anybody has a non-veg related?
Hi sir, great fan of your works. I'm Malavika from Palakkad. So my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad was a photographer, and we had a studio, and my dad had to sell his studio and go to Dubai because he was not making that much money doing photography, video shoots. Back then we had to do wedding photography and all, and nobody wanted me to pursue photography because there's always a conflict when it's come to taking risk and following your passion and to get a 9-to-5 corporate job where it gives you financial stability. So what do you have to say about pursuing passion, taking risk, and about financial stability?
So I was just having this conversation with some people earlier. Is at no point do I not consider photography as a job. The only thing is it stretches beyond 9 to 5. Right? It almost consumes your entire day when you're shooting. So when you're doing something professionally, it is a job. You are working for somebody is paying you. If you want to do it for yourself, that's a very different thing. But when you get into it as a profession, it becomes a job. So you cannot separate the two things. The only thing that I would advise is first try to see if you can make a certain amount of money that is at least 80% of your financial requirements for 6 months when you're doing something else. I don't even know how to talk now. So we all just start dancing. Anybody wants a reel? Okay, we just wait for this to pass. This too shall pass. This too.
Send me this video. Huh? Please send me this video. Yes, definitely.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ I mean, you can dance and come back. We have time. Back bit. It doesn't matter how creative I feel. If I go to sleep with an empty stomach, it's not something I am comfortable with. So if I'm doing this as a profession, I'm doing it to make money. I'm not doing it for anything else. I have my own creative projects to make myself feel happy. But when I'm working for a client, I get the brief, I know what they want, I can add my element to it. But the transaction is this: they have an expectation out of you, you deliver that expectation, you make money. Put that in your bank account, look at the end of the day, feel happy. Then plan your personal projects. But if you think you're confident enough to make that money from photography, I think that's a great way to also just keep that legacy going. The fact that you were doing, people might call you, oh no, will it become a nepotism thing? Oh shucks, I didn't even think about that actually. No, but I think it's a great way to sort of just keep that family legacy going. I think because I think it's, even if for nothing but just for that, the fact that it's been in your family for four generations, I think to just keep that going will be a nice thing. But there's enough people in India for you to make money off photography. Have you seen the number of weddings going on? Don't worry. So if you're happy to do that, I think you should. Again, give them this feel about how it's a job. It's not a separate thing.
Sir, I have one.
What do you think is most important? Capturing the moment or living the moment?
Great question actually. So for those of you that couldn't hear him, his question was, what's more important, to capture the moment or live the moment? I think, it's going to sound cheesy if I say I live the moment by capturing the moment, but what's happened with time is, and I do this exercise from time to time, at least I used to pre-pandemic, which is, I have days where I go out and just jot down observations in my notepad on my phone, where I see the world. I don't have a camera with me, but just things that I might usually end up shooting. I just observe those moments, where the light is coming from, how many people here are wearing masks, how dusty it is. Whatever I think I might be interested in framing, what happens is sometimes you get so fixated on just that one frame, waiting for something to happen, that you miss everything else outside of it. So this exercise I find really helps me to just move back, look at everything, go back to the frame. So I'm not fixated on just one thing. But for me, that's really helped, because I found myself writing down so much more than I usually would have just shot there, because I can get very fixated with that one thing. So, but it's absolutely equally important to live that moment, because at the end of the day, it is, as I get older, for me, photography is a way to just remember the world, because my memory is horrible. You can ask my wife and she will say yes. Where is she? She's left me. Oh shit. Anyway, but it's also for me the way I experience, everything that I see and that I want, that I think is worthwhile remembering. So that's how I sort of document what I see around me. There are so many times that I might not even remove the camera if it's a great moment. And there's so many images, I probably shoot hundreds of images every day that I don't share. Those are for memory's sake.
So it depends on
what is exactly happening in front of me. Yeah. Absolutely. Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah.
It's a cliche answer, but any of you want to add to that? Sandeep does. Why do you say no for him?
I would rather say live the moment. I think today everyone's got a phone in pocket and everyone's capturing everything. Yeah. All you could recall when you're just just lying down without any kind of gadgets around you is your memory. So live the moment first and then maybe capture it if you want to.
Because you, and like I was telling Malvika, right, which is you have to learn the professional aspect of it, because you're on somebody's very important day. I used to shoot weddings for a long time. So these were the sort of very hard lessons. When I started it, I obviously had this incredible ego that I can do this on my own, I would have saved so much time if I had worked under somebody like Arjun to learn those things, because it's one thing to hone the craft, it's a whole other thing to hone the professionalism of that aspect. How do you present yourself on a certain day? How do you meet expectations? And you'll find we have so many conversations where 90% of wedding photography is not even photography, it's negotiating with clients, it's where is my advance, and as they file GST or they want to pay me 50% cash, anybody from income tax nearby, I sure don't shoot weddings. But it's so many other things that go into it that probably he'll be able to speak at length. But yeah, he's your guy.
No, if you're interested in shooting weddings, you can, obviously there are a lot of people shooting incredible work. So I think the best way is to shoot them an email and check if you want to work with them. And most of them will be kind enough to respond. I'm thinking people who are genuinely interested in talent. And there's also different people who do it differently, right? There are also a lot of people who might do it purely for business, which is fine. Some people want to mix commerce and arts, which is the balance I like, because you need commerce so that you can stay up to date with the latest equipment and the lighting. And then also you need to ensure that the people you're catering to are happy, because it doesn't come again, right? Under 25, for example, happens every year. So better location next year, I don't know. But for example, a wedding is not something that keeps happening every year. So even when I want to work with somebody, I try and understand why they want to work in the industry, what is their motivation, why they want to shoot weddings, not something else. I think all of that matters, along with how good you are at what you do. And of course, we all are still learning, right? So I think you can get in touch with any of us. Harshal is a great photographer. Yeah, Harshal. No problem. No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there are a lot of incredible creators. It's not necessary to know us individually, but I think if you reach out to somebody genuinely, I think we've been doing it for a while. So when people reach out to us, when someone's really passionate, we'll never say no to a conversation, and also let them know that, hey, you know what, maybe in 3-4 months we can probably meet and see how to work together. So I think we've all been through that struggle, right? Trying to break into the industry. Luckily, we, like I mentioned earlier, we started shooting before Instagram was there. So we broke out at a time when the race was probably not as hectic. So I understand it might be challenging, but please do get in touch, and I'm sure all as a community want to support each other.
India's a very young country. A lot of people getting married. Yeah, big market.
Actually, the social media can be a really good player in this. Like if you can just drop in a message to like the people whose work you admire in wedding. You can just drop in a message like, I'm really interested in shooting a wedding. Can I be as a backup photographer for you? Because the more you practice, in that action, it would be more helpful for you. And if if the person whom you message, if they like your work, 100% they'll get you on board next time. Because many of them I have done like that. My personal weddings where I have shooted, and even my team Lighthouse Production when we shoot, we have lot of people working for us who DM us right away. Like we just want to be there, not as a main photographer, just as a backup. We'll not be in the frame also. We'll just be taking the frames which we want. And some of them work as really incredible, and we take them for the next wedding also. So you can use Instagram as well.
Did I answer your question? Yes. Anybody else?
My question is, as a hobby photographer, right? How do I judge myself? How do I improve? Like, I have found this that if I like something, right, some style of photography, I get stuck in that rut. So how do I get out of that? How do I find some new ways? Like, how do I critique myself?
I mean, there is nothing called a hobby. If you're a photographer, you're a photographer.
Okay.
And then if you do it for money, you're a professional photographer. So, I mean, don't undermine yourself.
Okay.
You like shooting, just call yourself a photographer. But I think that all of us get there. You know? I think that's the fact that you feel that way is a good way to know that you're constantly sort of re-evaluating where you are and not getting stuck. And it's not coming from somebody else.
Yes.
It's coming from yourself. So that's a great place to start, that you're self-evaluating. All of us do it from time to time. The way I do it is it's a little too extreme.
Okay.
But if I've been shooting white for a long time, I'll just shoot macros for 1 year. I won't shoot anything else.
Okay.
And people are like, what happened to the world? And then next year I'll only shoot tele. Just trying to mix it up.
Okay.
So it's just a good way for you to just keep breaking away from that, and also just pick up a few different other sort of, now you can say hobbies, but which gives you a more interesting, it could be just reading, it could be, just traveling, but gaining new perspectives that then very subtly influence the way you're looking at the world, because all of this is just how you're seeing the world.
Yes.
And since you're doing this for yourself, it's just about you documenting how you see the world. So the more inspirations that you have that can drive your thought process, the more interesting ways that you will end up documenting the world in, and you will not find yourself in that position that often.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that answer your question?
Yes. Also, Harleen is chilling over there.
Where is she?
She's in the tent over there. She's chilling.
Oh, there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wonderful.
I just leave her here and go.
He went off. She's donating blood. Donating blood.
She is. Oh shit! I can't say anything now. I take that back. Guys, delete that part of it. Such a wonderful one. That with movement, there's a lot of stuff for you to study in that, a lot of other things that go into it, but he's a trained cinematographer, so that's again a question for him.
So I found the transition slightly simpler because I was a photographer. Are you already a photographer? Yeah, then I think you'll probably enjoy it more, and when you enjoy something, it's easy to pick up, and I'm still learning, right? So what you can do is, if you're really interested, is go and assist other cinematographers and see how they light. Then that will help you see how that lighting translates into the frame they're looking, right? Or even volunteer to be a gaffer or someone who helps with the lighting, right? So there are a lot of people looking for genuinely interested people who are interested in learning. So I think the segue from photography to cinematography is slightly simpler for me because I already had a know-how of lighting and framing, right? And then it's also exciting because you experiment and you learn when to move the camera and all of that. So I think working with a good director and also working with a good team is important because you need to know when to move the camera in, right? And when to pull out and stuff like that. When you need a close-up, do I really need to shoot that tight? What does the director want? And are you someone who can give inputs to the director, or are you blindly following what he says? Because he may say, I want a close-up. He'll say, I think a wider shot will be better because I want to give the audience a sense of what the scene is making the audience feel. Is it an eerie scene? Is it a feel-good scene? So you will have to be able to give inputs, and the only way you learn is by, shadowing cinematography. Shadowing in the sense, basically what it means is when someone's working, you work with them, side by side. You learn, you ask them why they're shooting it this way. Why not from here? So if tomorrow if Audi is shooting a film, let's say I'm interning with him, I'll say, Audi, why did you decide to put the camera here? So he'll be able to tell me. I'll be like, oh, that's why. I'm not going to be like, oh, he put it here, so let me do the same thing. Tomorrow, I'll know why Audi did it that way. So in a different scenario, different film set, different script, I'll be like, oh, he did that, but this is what I would do. So but I think it should be easier if you have a know-how of photography. And the only way to learn is, because that's how I learned. I learned by helping out other cinematographers on set. And everyone has a different lighting style. Some people prefer very soft lighting, some people prefer directional, harsh lighting. It also depends on the mood of the scene. There's a lot to learn, and I think it'll be fun for you because you love telling stories through still images. It just moves to a motion picture, moving images. So what RD said, same thing.
But please remember, the last couple of years, whatever stuff everybody's been through is not easy. Everybody is still figuring out their lives. This is not a competition. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And to just prove that, I'll give you a couple of stories. So this guy sitting here to my left, I took his permission to say this. In the span of a week, he lost 4 people in his family. He lost his brother, he lost his mother and his grandmothers. In the span of 1 week. And then he had COVID and he had black fungus and he was in the hospital while we were taking his trip, right? It was obvious, but I'm saying the thing is, no matter what we do, if we call him at any point of time, he's there, right, to help us out. And it's only stuff like this that sort of made all of us, where we are today. Surround yourself with very good people. Surround yourself with people who can fill you with strength and make sure that you're on the right path, right? I mean, whatever it is that whatever discipline you're choosing in life, you can figure those things out if you figure out the person end of it. If you can figure out a way to be a decent person. She helps me a lot. My wife, who's standing there, helps me a lot. Whatever little decency I have in my life is thanks to her and people like this. So I'll give you another story. This is Harshal. He was an athlete. There was something called Badminton Premier League, right? He was one of the most elite badminton players. He got selected for a team, and a couple of days from when he got selected, he met with a bike accident because somebody came the wrong way. He has screws and plates up and down his leg. He's had God knows how many surgeries. He had to give up on his dream to play badminton. But till today, he's probably one of the most legendary guy, but one of the most humble people that I've met, and I've not met somebody more positive. Like a dog bit me and I complain about it today. This guy never brings it up unless you ask them in specific, and if they feel up to it, you would never see him talk about it. You would never see him talk about it. I am shameless, so I will. The reason I want to say this is, all the other stuff is okay, but you just remember to sort of stay grounded, surround yourself with good people, and focus on your craft or discipline, whatever it is that you pick, and you'll be okay. The last 2 years have been very, very tough. So there's no pressure for you to achieve something, no pressure for you to show off. If you're not feeling up to it, that's completely okay. But don't grind yourself down trying to prove something to people that you haven't even met. Just take it easy in life. And have an amazing year. See you in the next Under25. And that's me. Thank you guys. See you in the next Under25.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. You've been awesome. Thank you so much.